Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the market close. It is fantastic to be here. Yesterday we had a market open, so that was fun. That was fun. We do have market opens occasionally. I probably should do them more often because I got to admit it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. So we have, as the sign behind me is showing, we've got a red market today on well, pretty much everything but tech. So the TSX in the red, we got the S&P 500 in the red. It's all in the red. We do have, though, as the title indicates, Blackberry had their earnings today, and those might be the highlight of the day. They might be the highlight of the day. We're going to look at those in a little bit. Also, we got that whole NATO meeting happen over there, and a little bit of a commitment. A little bit of a commitment was made that Canada's going to hit, and I kind of chuckle at this, but 5% GDP defense spending by, 2035? Yeah. Let's, I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll have to see. Well, you guys, you know what we're going to do. We're going to jump right on into the market. Let's take a look. Let's see where we're at. The TSX is down 0.54%. We still got time. But it's not looking good for the day. It's looking like it will be a red day. We're still looking good on the month. We're well above that blue line, and that blue line that you see there on the chart, that's where we entered June. So we're having a green month, but well, let's just say not so much on that day. And there's a few reasons why, and we'll get to those. Well, I'll tell you one reason right off the bat. A lot of our market is really tied around the price of energy. So when energy goes down, it does sometimes pull things down a little bit. So we've got energy, we've still got more tariff concerns, all of that fun stuff impacting the market today. But we'll get to that here momentarily. We're going to take a look here at the S&P 500. Now they're in the red, but not by much. So they're down 0.04%. So I would call today pretty flat. I would call it a flat day on the S&P 500. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. The NASDAQ, oh boy, the NASDAQ's actually having a pretty good day. They're up 0.10%. So I can tell you, I believe NVIDIA may be part of what's pulling things up. The Dow Jones, not a great day. Down 0.28. Russell down almost a full percent. Gold's up a bit, up 0.37%. In fact, one of the winners on the Canadian side, and we'll actually, you know what? Let's wait till we get to the heat map. But I'll tell you, there's a gold stock in there. Silver up 1.05%. WTI looks like gold. Looks like oil has stopped falling, slowly starting to getting a little bit of recovery there. Not a bad day for Bitcoin. Look at this. Bitcoin up 1.61%. Ethereum's down a wee bit, down about 0.5%. So let's hit this heat map. Look at this. Get rid of that stupid ad and get rid of that stupid ad. All right. A lot of red in here. And you can see when you start looking, oh boy. Well, actually, energy's not looking that bad right now. Imperial Oil up 2.8%. Cenovus over here down a little bit, 0.43. Tourmaline, though, down 1.26%. So we do have a bit of recovery happening in the second half of the day when it comes to oil. That's good. I like it. You can sort of see, though, everything else. There's not a lot up here, but check this out over here. LUG. That there, of course, is London Gold. They're up 2.9%. So London Gold's having a fantastic day. Now, what you cannot see in here, and we'll wait. I'm talking about Blackberry. We're gonna wait just a tiny bit. Blackberry's up quite a bit today, quite a bit. Let's jump to the U.S. The U.S., as you can see, we have NVIDIA up 3.90%. Definitely leading tech. Not a lot of other. Well, Google's up 2.25, but that tends to be the story. Tesla, of course, Tesla had a big day yesterday. They were up because of the whole robo-taxi thing. Now, Tesla investors have come back to earth. So if you were playing you would have pretty much rode it into yesterday and got out before today. Hopefully, we'll have to see what Larry did. I haven't seen Larry yet, but I'm sure he'll show up. Eli Lilly having a good day, up 2.04%. All right, heading on over to the crypto world. And as we can see, Bitcoin dominating things, up 2.20%. Nobody else is really that exciting. But as you guys know, there's about 15,000 altcoins out there. Bitcoin's having a green day. So let's pick a random crap coin that's having a bad day. Let's go with this one. What is this? Oh, this is Walken. Second I saw that, I could hear Christopher Walken's voice in the back of my head saying more cowbell, or walking in a Walken Winterland. Anyway, there's a Christmas version, I think, of Walken. Anyway, I have no idea what this coin is. Is it a tribute to Chris? Is it a tribute to Walken? I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is it's not worth very much. And it's worth like a fraction of a penny. You got to be careful with some of these crypto things. A lot of these smaller coins, I call them crap coins, they're really, really beyond risky. So you want to be careful. If you are going to invest in a non-traditional crypto coin, like one of the older, one of these crap coins, be sure to read the white paper. Yeah, make sure you know what's going on. Make sure you have some faith in it. And also, don't bet the house on one of these, because, oh boy, you're more likely to lose the house if you do that. It's best to always stick to the big boys. Stick to your Bitcoins, your Ethereums, your XRP, your Solana, and of course, maybe even the Dogecoin. Now, a good rule of thumb is if you're looking to invest in crypto, and you might be thinking, well, which ones are the big ones? Look at it this way. If there's an ETF out there that does them, they're probably okay. They're probably okay. And there's plenty that are okay that don't have ETFs, but we've got Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum, XRP, Solana. And speaking of that, the channel members, they get to vote for the last video of the month, and that's the video for Friday. They did vote, and they voted for the new crypto ETFs. So all of the new crypto ETFs that have come out in 2025, the Canadian ones, I'm going to put that into a video for you for Friday. So that's what's coming up. All right, guys, it's time to hit the comments. Vic is first in the house, first to hit like and comment. And Jim is saying, finally a slow day at work so I can watch. Awesome. Vic is the king. Definitely. All right. But the king sold NVIDIA a bit too soon, apparently. So what can I say? Rory says, afternoon, I'm under a tornado watch in effect. I'll see if I'm still online. Let's hope so. If the stream gets good and there's a tornado coming, it's okay to head to the storm cellar. Don't worry about the show. Worry about yourself in those situations. Vic says, what do you think about direct investing versus passive index investing? Article about it in the Globe and Mail. One of the things I think is it really depends on your investment style. I think the answer would depend. So if you are somebody who wants to invest, you want that good diversification, you don't want to pay a bunch of fees to a financial advisor, then ETFs is a way to go. ETFs, and especially, and this is where we get into passive index funds. So passive ETFs, these are ETFs that have low fees, and they're mostly, well, I'll give you a good example. VFE would be considered a passive index fund. It charts the S&P 500. That's all it does. So these are funds that are going to, they're all total return funds. So they're going to grow. They might have a small amount of dividends with them. They're not going to be your big income ETFs because those are not passive. Those are called active managed because, and you pay more fees on those because people are doing more work. So you got a lot of different ones that are more active. The covered call ones, the leverage ones. Now, there are some straight up index ones that are still active only because they do a little bit more work. If I remember correctly, and guys, I could be wrong on this one, but I do believe the Dividend Aristocrat one might be considered active because they do have to do a little bit of work to make sure that they're keeping up with that Dividend Aristocrat list. So if somebody's not increasing their dividend in any particular year, they have to go in and manually remove them from it as well. So I could be wrong though. I'm thinking. I've never really I haven't thought about it before. I'd have to double check it, but just something to keep in mind. So yeah, I think passive investing, if you're new to investing, like a lot of times too, if somebody brand new comes to investing and they're like, what do I do? Where do I start? That's a perfect place to start. Start with some ETFs, start with some broad ETFs, things that, cover entire indexes. So something like, for example, VFV, it covers the S&P 500. You've got like VDY, you got XEQT, things like that cover a lot of stuff. They don't have great dividends, but you're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a lot of growth component from that. And I think those are fantastic ones. So even if you're looking, for example, if you're thinking about setting up an RESP, so a retired education savings plan for your kid, you probably want some just nice, reliable stuff. You probably don't want to have to go in there and manage it like crazy. So a lot of these passive funds, I think, are perfect for that. It's like, your toddler there is behind the scenes. You're throwing in, let's say $50 every paycheck into something like a VFV or an XEQT. By the time they're ready for school, you're gonna have a nice little nest egg there for them. Absolutely. All right. Oh, we got the Nightbot talking about Friday shows. Yes. So if you guys want a Friday show, before this show is done, if we get either four supers or heck, even if somebody gifts 4 memberships to random folks, it all counts. We'll add it all up. And if so, we'll throw in an extra show. King Deuce says, let's go. Vic number 1. Remember to like as you log on. Yeah, absolutely. And you want to keep Mary happy. Let's say good afternoon, everyone. And here is the Mary. Everybody is letting you know that you want to keep happy. So Mary is our official captain of the like button. So you don't want Mary leering at you. So definitely click that button if you haven't. It helps the algorithm. I'm going to have some iced coffee while you guys are doing that. It's still very warm here. Nice. Now it has cooled down significantly outside. And this gives me a story to tell you guys. I got a story. So for some reason, with the air conditioner needing servicing, not a lot of heat's moving in the house. So inside the house right now, it's a lot hotter and more humid than it is outside. So I'm getting ready for the stream, and I'm thinking, I just opened the window for a bit, and I'm like, oh, there's a tiny bit of cool air coming in, a little bit, not much, but a little bit. So I'm like, well, maybe I should just leave the window open for the stream. And I sit down and I'm getting things ready. And then some woman starts yelling a string of profanities, and it was loud. I think she was going to murder someone. And I was just like, yeah, that's all I need is for that to happen in the middle of a stream. I would probably turn beet red because that's just like, no, I don't need that on the air. So I have closed it. I thought about, I'm thinking, heck, that doesn't happen often. I don't want to make it sound like I live in a neighborhood where, where it's like Mad Max out on the streets or something. It's not like that at all. This is probably the first time I've heard profanity coming in like that in a long time. So yeah, I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just open it again. And I did. I opened it again and I sat down and I had it open right up until the countdown started. So as the countdown was playing, I then heard a garbage truck driving by and I'm like, oh yeah, today's garbage day. So yeah, I closed it again because otherwise we might get a couple loud noises from garbage trucks. But anyway, that's today's drama on the window. All right. Brian says, like button pushed for you, Mary. And Mary saying, thanks for all your support with the button. Oh, there you go. See, you guys are making Mary happy. This is good. I like it. All right. I forgot to put that up. There we go. Brian, did anyone make an ETF for multiple coins rather than single coins? Not in 2025. Now, there is HBTE, that there is the Harvest Bitcoin Leaders one, that one, and I have that one in the challenge. It's still all Bitcoin, but it's a lot of companies that, are in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So some of the companies that they hold are Coinbase. Coinbase is an exchange, so they have exposure to more than just Bitcoin. So you do get some exposure that way. There was, I'm trying to think who it was. I think Purpose has one that has like a mix. It's an older one that has a bit of Ethereum as well as Bitcoin in it. But yeah, there's really not a big mixture yet. But keep in mind, now that we're starting to get more and more, I have a feeling like the floodgates when it comes to ETFs around crypto, I think they're just starting to open. And there could be some really interesting ones, I think, coming out within the next year. So I can't wait. I can't wait. Jim is saying start with an ETF like VDY. Look at the list of holdings and do your research and pick the stocks you think will do good. Yeah, so VDY, like I said, that's a good one right there. Another one of those Vanguard ones. Vanguard has a lot of good ETFs, and most of their ETFs are gonna be passive. But they're good, and they've been around for a while. They've got history on their side, and when you look at them, like VDY, actually, let's do it. Let's just quickly. Oh, wait a minute, guys, this is gonna be a lackluster ring. I missed it by 2 minutes. I can't go. I'm not hitting that hard because I can't believe it. I got so distracted because I ring the bell at 4:00, guys, and it's kind of a part of the show. But yeah, I lackluster missed it. All right. Let's oh boy, let's go over here and I'm just gonna pull one up here. VDY. That was the one that was mentioned. So here's the Vanguard FTSE, Canadian High Dividend Yield Index. All right, that doesn't look that impressive, but let's just look at it from 3 years. And you can see it's had a lot of movement. Now, this one here, I like it, but I will say when you want to look at something really interesting, VFV, this one charts the S&P 500, and I will use this as an example a lot of times because this is pretty much what the S&P 500 did. So if I ever want to sort of show a representation on the screen of the S&P 500, I pull this one up here. And here's the, actually, we go to the 10-year. This is fantastic. You can sort of see. You can see we were in this nice little, it wasn't an aggressive bull market. And then along came the pandemic. You can see that right there. And then we went out of the pandemic. We came out, well, we're still in the pandemic, but then we went into a pretty aggressive bull market. Why? Why was it so aggressive? Well, government supports. Everybody was getting free money, and a lot of people were getting free money and didn't know what to do with it, had all this time on their hands with lockdowns, and they discovered investing. I won't bet my life, but I'll definitely bet you there's probably some of you guys here who started in the pandemic. I'm almost certain of that. Anyway, as you can see, we came out, and then we had a bit of a bear market. Now, this is one of these things I talk about this a bit. Is this really a bear market? I mean, yes, it is, but when you think about all of that money that got pumped in the market, it's all kind of right there. If you removed all of that market, all of that money, in a sense, it would have kind of been almost like nothing happened. So it is kind of an interesting thing when I think about it. But anyway, we had that bear market in here. And then we went into, well, now we're in tight, a pretty tight bull market. I've heard people, it's funny, even as this is happening, I've heard people sort of saying, well, the bull market hasn't really begun yet. When's it coming? And it's like, what are you talking about? Look at this. Even right now, a lot of our numbers are at all-time highs. Now, this here, Liberation Day, it's our next little big thing. Thanks to Trump and his tariffs, he created a dent in the market, just like COVID. So, what do COVID and Donald Trump have in common? They like to make dents in the market. So there we go. But yeah, no, it is kind of good to watch. Anyway, all right. Anyway, I'm just sort of going off on anything here. All right, Mary says, bought Pine Tree Cap yesterday. Thanks for the video. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, here's Rory. Everybody, yep. Everybody's trying to get me to see? I really botched the bell today. Let's see. It's not Mad Max. It's Mad Math. Maybe. It could be. And yeah, the bell. Yeah. I know, Raj. I know. Paul is in the house. Good afternoon. Oh, Paul made me very happy yesterday. Now, I'll tell you this. This is kind of an interesting little thing. So Paul lives on the West Coast. And, of course, I did a market open yesterday. And Paul was mentioning in the market open that he set his alarm to wake up in time to watch the market open. And I was like, oh, my God, that's so cool. That's like it's like affirmation as a YouTuber. It's like, when people are setting alarms so they don't miss a live, that's just friggin' awesome. So you know what? We haven't had a super yet, but for that, I think I'm gonna throw a goat. I'm throwing a goat at Paul because that was friggin' awesome. All right. Oh boy. All right. Let's see here. All right. We got more from Raj here. Brian says, I have the Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF, but I was wondering if there was something with multiple. Thanks for your info. Yeah, I would think now that we've got because now it's a matter of where you have spot Bitcoin, spot Ethereum, spot Solana, spot XRP. There's nothing stopping somebody from creating like a leveraged or a covered call version that just holds all four of those. I think that's coming. I think that's absolutely coming. It's not here yet. All right. 2 p.m. in Alberta. Yeah, it's only 2 hour difference between here and good old Alberta. Dorpot says, yep, here, didn't know what I was doing. Bought weed and Netflix during the pandemic. Weed failed. Yeah, weed is one of those things like a lot of people thought weed was going to do really well because, hey, it's legalized. That's going to be a ton of revenue that people will just start to do. But I don't know. And here's the thing. I couldn't even tell you if it was a situation where everybody was locked at home and nobody wants to do weed around their family or something. I don't know. I mean, I don't do weed, so I just don't understand why. I thought it was going to do better than it did. Absolutely. But it did not. But I did catch on very quickly that it was pulling an about face. So I waited for my opportunity and I wasn't in I didn't over diversify into weed at all. I had a small position, but I got out at a profit. I was happy. The only reason I even got out at a profit was because of Wall Street bets. They happened to pump that weed stock that I had my position in, and I just happened to be there when it started going crazy. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting out in the green. Luck has it when I got out, I ended up getting out right at the top. That's hard to do. And that is hard to do. Brian says, I started investing in 2017. A lot of hard lessons along the way. Yeah, Yeah, absolutely. That happens. Yeah, like an idiot, I started with lithium penny stocks. Oh, yes. Oh, good old lithium. I mean, yeah, lithium is used in batteries, sure. But I just didn't see it as being the I don't know, the next great mineral stock. It's important, but I just didn't see it as being. I think a lot of people and a lot of YouTubers jumped on lithium like it was like a holy grail, and honestly, I would have jumped on copper more than lithium. Gold, of course, definitely a safe bet in that sector. Brian, let's see. Yes, many of us got sucked into pot stocks. I'm still holding one with a 2% loss. Jim says, I paid off all my debt and started investing because I stopped going out, and all of a sudden I had spare money because of the pandemic. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby. One of the good things that came from the pandemic, I guess. Brian said 92% losses. Uh-oh. Let's see. Like J.R. Ewing said, sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. Oh, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Oh, I know that reminds me of Blackberry. And let's pull up Blackberry here. So this is Blackberry today. You can see this morning they were sitting down like just around, right around, well, actually, they finished around 593. 593. They peaked all the way up at 732. So huge, huge explosion. Now, those of you guys who were at the market open yesterday, you remember I was talking about Blackberry, that I had actually added them here, and I was talking about their earnings. Like I said, I think their earnings are gonna be good, but their earnings were really good. In fact, they're now profitable. They're now profitable. So look at this. So their earnings were estimated to come in just below zero. So negative 0.004. Well, no way. They came in at 3.1 cents. So that's a surprise. So they beat expectations by a whopping 870.50%. That's absolutely bonkers. Their revenue also came in much stronger than expected. They were expected to come in around 156 million. They came in at 166 million. So that was up by 6.42%. Everything is looking pretty rosy over there for Blackberry. And I actually did a deep dive on them not that long ago. It didn't do well because, I guess a lot of people just aren't, they hear Blackberry and they think, oh yeah, there's no relevance there anymore. But the thing with Blackberry is they do have relevance. They've reorganized themselves. They're much more into two sort of main areas. Quantum, and within quantum computing, as the security aspect, they're those guys who are working at creating quantum programs that will be used for security. And that's huge. I think that's absolutely huge. And they're doing a lot better. They're just doing a lot better. I would recommend, if you haven't checked out the Blackberry video, it's worth looking at. It's definitely is. All right. Anyway, Blackberry, one of the big winners of the day. They're up 12.98% on a red day. Blackberry does it. One other, by the way, and I was mentioning this before, London Gold had a pretty good day today. Up, up 2.89%. So you gotta love that. You gotta love that. I have them in the challenge, and quite literally, let me actually take a look and see where they're at right now. I'm just pulling up the challenge on another screen. I don't have this screen shared, unfortunately, but London Gold right here. They're currently up 81.04% in the challenge. So I'm like, that's great. They're going to be number one again. Nothing seems to be slowing them down. All right, let's see here. Let's pull back to big size. All right, let's see. Doorpat says, I am at 98% loss. Too heartbroken to sell it. Worst part in TFSA, so room gone too. Yeah. Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing. There's different things that I saw promoted early during the pandemic that they didn't turn out to be so well. A lot of the weed stocks, the lithium stocks, some crypto miners, and also there was the can stock. I know there were some people promoting cans, and yeah, that didn't go. They did not. They did not live up to expectations at all. All right, and Rory says splat. There goes my money. Yeah, I know. And Jay says, I miss the volatility of HHIS. I hope it goes down to 11 per share. I hate it when it's all green. Yeah. No, I mean, HHIS, I think it's going to be a very interesting ETF. Yeah. We'll have to sort of see. It'll be very interesting to see how all of those new Harvest One stocks, how they're all going to look once we start going into a strong tech pump. It could be very interesting. Now, you are going to lose some upside potential because of some of the covered calls and stuff, but it could still be very, very interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that's all gonna sort of filter out. Paul says yesterday sold some of each. Let's see, Strategy and Tesla. It's supposed to be, let's see, retain 30%, so as well 20% of the remaining 70%. Then bought HIMS. All right, fantastic. Well, hopefully you sold a good amount of Tesla, because they are down today. They are definitely down. I miss the Blackberry keyboard. Yeah, no, it's kind of interesting. It's one of the things with with smartphones. I mean, Blackberry, you had that physical keyboard, nice, easy. Some people do not like the on-screen ones. I quite literally, if I want to do a lot of typing on something that's on my phone, I mirror it onto my desktop. I also have a wireless keyboard that can connect to any pretty much any device. So I have that as well. So that's another option. But I hear you. I hear you. Oh boy. We got the Nightbot one more time, sneaking their way in. Sneaking their way in. What can I say? What can I say? All right. Oh boy. There was. Let's just see here. Yeah. I've been thinking about the market. One of the issues that we're having right now is we have this whole 30 days that we're supposed to get a trade deal between Carney and Trump. I'm not confident it's going to happen. And I've heard some whispers out there that there's a lot of people thinking that there's not even a chance before the end of July that we could get a trade deal with the United States. So that, and I think that's part of the uncertainty that we're seeing in the Canadian market as well, that some of the retracement on energy. Now, another thing too is when we start looking at the whole Middle East thing, I'm a little concerned of one thing. One thing that has me a little concerned with the Middle East is that these bunker buster bombs that were supposed to have completely obliterated everything, the data that's starting to come out of Iran is that they really didn't do much. A couple of cases they may have collapsed the entrance, but not really damaged a lot of the infrastructure underneath. So in many ways, Iran getting a ceasefire, it's almost like a win. It's almost like a win. And I have a feeling that's annoying Trump. And Trump, of course, has been getting a little bit, he dropped an F-bomb on the news. Was that yesterday or the day before yesterday? As he's getting a little bit frustrated. But that was because Israel was still firing bombs after he did the peace treaty. Well, for one, he kind of did a weird thing with the peace treaty. Basically, he says, okay, Iran will stop immediately. And then 12 hours later, Israel can stop. I'm just like, what? That's kind of crazy. If you're going to have a peace treaty, it means that everybody stops. You don't give the aggressor in this case. I'm only calling Israel the aggressor because that's where the initial missiles came from. You don't give them some extra shots, like you can get 12 hours of free shots. I just think I just don't think things are over in the Middle East. So if if you are in that situation where you put a bit more into oil, thinking, okay, oil's going to explode because of this, and I thought I was expecting oil to go up Monday. I was absolutely shocked when everything de-escalated so fast. I was just like, what? This is not good. This is not good. So I imagine there's people, and I imagine there's even people in this community who are sitting on some oil right now in the red, thinking, "Oh boy, what the heck?" Um, well, the good news, and I guess good news for you as an investor, is I think you're going to get that. I think we're still going to get an opportunity to see oil pump back up. I just don't think this is over yet. So we'll have to see how this is all going to iron and to come out of the wash. That'd be the best words for it. I think there's more to come. I think we got more to come, although Trump does seem to like calling it his 12-day war, but I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. All right. Let's see here. Where were we at? Brian says, when pot first got legalized, I was in Niagara Falls and walking up Clifton Hill. People were smoking pot, walking on the sidewalk. It was just so wrong in a family area like that. Yeah. I mean, it became public really, really fast. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that's just like, I mean, I don't mind it being illegal, but at the same time, I don't want to be, I don't want to have to smell it all the time. So I kind of look at it from that way. But what do you do? What do you do? Rory says, looking at entry points for XEQT, think it'll drop to $30 again. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, if the U.S. were to go into a recession, now, right now, though, and it's actually really interesting. Some stuff came out today about the interest rates in the United States. One of the things that came out is that a lot of analysts are thinking that that Powell's not going to drop the rate until next year. That he's going to wait till 2026. So that could be interesting. That's one of the reasons that we had a bit of red on the U.S. market. People are a little concerned about that. So, and obviously Donald Trump is not very happy when it comes to Powell. Donald wants those rates down so that he can undo some of the damage some of his policies are doing. But now we're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. I just think, I still think we're going to see some in Canada. I hope this talk that we won't get a trade deal before the end of July. I hope that's wrong. I really, really do. Time for some cold coffee. Oh gosh, so good. All right. Paul says, with my mix of RRSP stocks, and there's our big mix, only down 0.66% today. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Although, for the most part, I think crypto's been strong. So that's helped you out with strategy and iBit and Sol. Also with MSTY. So yeah, I can see that. And I do think real estate is going to be starting to do a little bit better. So that's not a bad mix when you look at it from that perspective. Let's see. I guess the king doesn't rule the world and get to dictate what other countries can do. Yeah, he sometimes thinks he does. But and this is one of these things too. When word came out about Canada agreeing to 5% defense spending, so 5% of the GDP by 2035. I'm sure we'll be there by 2035, but by 2025. One of the thoughts, actually, Jill brought up that, well, that's convenient. Trump will already be gone, and somebody more reasonable will probably be in the White House at that point in time. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll be happy. I'll be happy with the 2% once we get there. Let's see. Jim says Trump has been pretty snippy since he bombed Iraq. All right, let's see here. Paul says yesterday when I sold that part of Tesla, it was 344 a share. Of course, Tesla closed at 327 today. Yeah. Yeah, no, Tesla definitely had a little bit of a retracement today for sure. Let's see. Brian says, yes, JP Morgan or one of the big ones are saying no rate cuts this year and 7 next year. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Now, that's 7 rate cuts in 1 year is a lot. So that usually signifies that there's some trouble. So maybe there will be trouble next year, but let's see what happens. I hope JP Morgan is wrong. I still would like to see 2 cuts this year. Because as I was mentioning yesterday on the open, a lot of the data that we're seeing, a lot of it's better than it really is because of a lot of country doing a lot of front loading when it comes to products that are going to be impacted harder and harder by tariffs. So, there is a little bit of a skew to the data, and it just feels like the Fed, when they look at it, they're not looking at the skew. They're looking at the skew. They're not looking at what the underlying data is really saying in some cases. So I'm hoping, I would very much like to see just one. Give us one for now. I think that would do wonders, and it would also, kind of calm Trump a tiny bit. Probably not for long, but all right. Let's see. Roy says dividends incoming late next week, early July. Yes, that's a good time for dividends. Oh, there is. Excuse me. We've been talking a little bit about these new Hamilton dividends, but I did discover we do have an ETF right now that provides dividends twice a month. It's actually one of the crypto ones. So that is in tomorrow's video. Or tomorrow if you're a channel member. Channel members get to see everything a day early. Paul says, waiting for the USA Solana ETFs to be approved, then Solana will take off up. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing. I think the floodgate has pretty much opened. And I think we're going to start seeing, like, I expect to see ETFs for, I think Cardano will probably get one. And I kind of think Dogecoin will get one. Those are 2 that I'm thinking of, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad that XRP got one, and I'm very glad about, of course, Solana getting one. So it's going to be interesting. Let's see. Reverend Ramirez says, Daniel Pronk, the value investor, recent recommendations, INTL market investing through interactive brokers. Any thoughts? Well, you got it. And I do like Daniel Pronk. But I gotta just say, he has affiliations with them. So you gotta always keep that in mind. There's gonna be a little bit of bias there. I don't think, I don't think anybody really needs to go through an intermediary to invest. Do-it-yourself investing. There's a lot of great options. If you're willing to put in a little bit of a little bit of that due diligence we're always talking about, I think you'll do fine. Even in worst case scenario, if you just want something no muss, no fuss, where it takes us back to Vic at the top of the show and those passive index funds. So I think there's a lot of different options out there. And this is the one thing, I have not tried interactive brokers, so I can't go too deep on what their systems do because I've never been in there. But I'm just saying, always keep in mind, when somebody is promoting something, always keep in mind that what's in it for them? What is their relationship to what they're promoting? So for example, when I tell you guys about Blossom, well, I'm an ambassador at Blossom, so I do have an affiliation with them. So there's a little bit of bias there, absolutely. I as much as I try not to be biased, yeah, there's always at least a tiny subconscious amount. But and that's what I always say, know the source, know their know whatever biases are there. It's just something to keep in mind. All right. Good old Nightbot again. Jim says, let's see, PayEY took a big nosedive the other day and hit my trailing stop loss. Ah, interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad you had a trailing stop loss. So hopefully that means you got in profit for that, because I like that. I like trailing stop losses. But yeah, I think we were talking about it, and with what was going on in the Middle East, if things had gotten worse the way everybody thought they were going to, companies like PEY were going to do well. They were gonna do well. Having a trailing stop loss, though, that's brilliant, because no matter, and this is kind of that thing, no matter what you think the market's gonna do, no matter, even if everybody and their dog thinks the market's going up, there are situations where it's going to go down. There's situations where everybody will be wrong. And so something like a trailing stop loss, that's brilliant, because that's going to be your safety net for when everybody's wrong. And, with Monday, everybody was wrong. Unless maybe there was one person out there that might have been right, but I was wrong. I completely called Monday wrong. I think a lot of people called Monday wrong. So one of those things I keep in mind, and that's why it's always good to have, like, when you have a plan, and you should have a plan when you're investing, don't just have a plan on what you're going to do when everything goes right. You should have a plan for, what if the worst thing happens? What if a black swan event happens? What is my plan? So it's always good to have plans. Trailing stop losses, if you have a broker that supports them. Not all brokers have them. You don't have them on Wealthsimple. You don't have them on National Bank. Now, you do have them on, I know that you have them on Desjardins Direct Brokerage, and I know there's a few other brokerages that have them. Jim, who is your broker, by the way? Just kind of curious. Those are great. Because a trailing stop loss, as your stock goes up, that trailing stock loss, it goes up as well. So if you're away from the computer and everything goes wrong and it comes down, you're on a good thing. You're on a good thing. All right. Let's see. Paul says I have STR and STRK and STRF dividends coming June 30th. Of course, sold those, leaving one share of each to buy IBIT and SOL last week. I had 150 shares of each to STRK $2 dividend and STRF $2.50 dividends, both USD. Nice. Nice. Let's see, stop loss on Questrade, but only that edge thing. So the edge with Questrade, so does the edge just give you more tools so than what you would normally get on the regular Questrade? Is that kind of the whole thought on that? Right now, like I said, I still can't access Questrade. My membership is sitting in limbo. And it's a matter of I gotta jump in the chat with them one of these days again and try to get it worked out. So far, it just hasn't gone well. It has not gone well at all. All right, guys, we're getting close to the end here. If you got your last minute questions, now's the time. Get them on in. And we'll answer them. In the meantime, I'm gonna have some coffee here. Ah, nice. Okay, Jim said, I made some money, but not enough to cover the cost of the ones I didn't put in the trailing stop loss. Okay, fair enough. But keep in mind too, depending on what it is that you're looking at. So for example, with what happened on Monday, you might have some energy stocks that, perhaps you didn't put your trailing stop loss on. If it's not urgent, those are things you can probably ride out. Oil's going to turn around. Well, oil's already stopped falling. And, all it takes is for that mess in the Middle East to fall apart, and Donald Trump's in there. So yeah, there's always a good chance that things are going to fall apart, and that they could very well be back up there again. So keep that in mind. All right, Questrade went AI bot in their chat. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, maybe. Although if it was an AI bot, I think I'd get along better with it. Because at least it should do what it's supposed to. But yeah, I'll have to see what happens. Paul says Edge gives you more tools. I like the simpler, basic Questrade. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of like with National Bank. That's one of the reasons I use it for trading. Is just that it's so nimble, so quick. I can make trades with minimal clicks. Oh my gosh, that almost rhymed. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but it's just something I keep in mind. Let's see. Questrade asks you questions with bot, then you get a person. Oh, okay. There we go. Do you have any experience with IBKR? Are they good for international trading? I have no experience with IBKR, so I don't have an answer. If anybody does have experience, though, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Tom says, good afternoon, Candace. I'm very pleased to see the Blackberry tag. Sorry if you went over it already, but do you think this is a potential rebalancing for the stock? All the best. Well, Tom, and actually here, you know what, guys? I'm going to do this. Let me give me 1 second here. All right. I'm going to grab you guys a link here. All right. Give me a second here. All right. I'm going to drop this in chat for you. All right. So this, and watch this after the stream. This here is my deep dive on Blackberry, and it's called, I think I called it, is black. I think the thumbnail says Blackberry. Is it for real? And spoiler alert, yeah, I think it is. So I was expecting, like even yesterday when we did the market open, I was really waiting for that Blackberry for their earnings because I was excited about it. I was feeling good about it. And they did amazing. They did absolutely amazing. Well, once again, let's pull this up one more time. London Gold, everybody. Gotta love London Gold. But here we are, Blackberry here. So here's that jump that they made this morning. And once again, look at these earnings. They beat on their earnings 870.50%. So they were supposed to still be unprofitable, so having a negative earnings, but they're now in the black. They are now profitable. They also, that's not too shabby as well, beating on revenue. So they had fantastic earnings. So I love it. I think it's a good news for the company. They, in moving towards some of the quantum security, that's a really good move, as well as some of the car stuff as well. They've streamlined that company to be relevant again, and I do think they're going to become relevant. So yeah, I think Blackberry, I think they're for real. I definitely think they're for real. And like I said, if you want more information, guys, I dropped that link in there for the Blackberry video. It is worth checking out. Not many people watched it, I will admit. Blackberry just doesn't have that popularity, but if you're looking for an underdog, it's worth watching. Paul says, with Questrade to remember in after hours to enter extended hours on the trade. Okay, yeah. You got it. Well, yeah, you can do that with, especially the US ones. You can do after hours. I don't know if we'll ever get after hours on the Canadian stocks. Right now, I would say that it's probably not even a thought. Let's see, Rory, what dark priest raised Blackberry from the dead? Well, here's the ironic thing, and this is kind of one of the sad things about Blackberry, is the current management team has done all the right things, but because at one point during the pandemic, Blackberry was one of the stocks that was being pumped by Wall Street bets. It kind of created a slight stigma around them, but don't even look at it right now. Blackberry is no longer being touted by Wall Street bets. They're the real deal. They're doing their own thing. They've made a lot of good moves, and especially as quantum becomes more and more, and that's the next big wave after AI is quantum. As we move into quantum computing more and more, I think BlackBerry has positioned themselves to do really, really well. So, are they relevant again? They're on their way. They're on their way for sure. Jay says, I can't believe Questrade still don't do fractional. I thought they did. Jay, I thought they did. Really? Let's see. I spent hours back and forth with Wealthsimple partial in-kind transfer, and it froze my account on Wealthsimple. Next time, just cash. Yeah, I thought Questrade was doing fractional shares, because what I had heard is that they were doing it real time, and that's why, if you guys notice now on Wealthsimple, when you're doing fractional completely real time. You don't have to wait anymore, which is fantastic. So if you want to buy that 0.01 of VFE, you get it right away, and it makes sense. Because how fractional investing works, well, hey, let's go to, that's not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go to, where is it? Right here. We're going to go to our whiteboard. So you take a popular stock. So for example, you know what? Let's do VFE. So you have a popular stock like VFE. Somebody like Wealthsimple will come along and they're going to buy a whole bunch of this. So let's just say, for example, they buy 1 million shares and they bought it. And you know what? Let's actually look at the actual prices. So let's say they bought it back here in the pandemic. So they got it for, we'll just say $59. So they bought a whole bunch of these shares at $59 back in the pandemic. Okay, we got out of the pandemic. And as you can see, as we're coming out of that pandemic, the price went up pretty fast, 105, 148 now. So obviously, if they only bought 1 million shares during the pandemic, they have, whoops, let's get back here. They've burned through that pretty fast. But after the pandemic, let's say 1 month after the pandemic, well, those shares, they're probably sitting at, let's just say $75. So then anybody on that platform, so let's say I'm on the platform and I buy 10 shares at $75. I'll put the X at 75. Well, guess where those shares are coming from? They're coming from that. So Wealthsimple, they paid $59 for those shares. They're selling them to me at $75 because that's the current price. So this is just like you, right? If you're holding something in your portfolio for a while, it goes up in value, you sell it at a higher price. Well, the brokers are doing the same thing as well. So in this case here, they're making $16 a share off of me for this. And this also goes, and they're going to keep a lot. Like if it's a popular share like this, I did 1 million, but in realistic, they probably, I don't want to say 100 million, but let's just say for now, we'll say 100 million. They may have bought 100 million at one point if it's that popular of an ETF or a company. And then when it comes to fractional, they'll basically say, okay, somebody wanted to buy 0.1 of a share. So they'll take 1 share from here and they'll put it into a little fractional section. So they've got 1 share and then they'll sell you ownership. They'll sell you a 0.1 of that, leaving them with 0.9. So they still got 0.9 left. Somebody else buys 0.1 and now they've got 0.8 left. And then they will just continue to add to this. That's how they're able to do it. So real time, there's no reason why they couldn't do it real time. And now they are doing it real time. I think it was more or less They were doing it in kind of batches before. So that with there, they just do it like a couple of times a day type thing. But now it's happening real time. But this is how, people say, how does Wealthsimple make money? Well, this is how they make money. So, and you got to look at it. Obviously, those are the pandemic ones that they got at $59. When you look at this, you know, they probably bought a whole bunch here too when it was like $87. Anytime the market, that dip, buy the dip, they're in there. They're buying the dip. They'll probably be buying some along here as well anyway. They'll probably be dollar cost averaging as well. But when there's a big dip, like we go into a bear market, they're going to buy a whole bunch. They're going to buy a whole bunch because that's how they're making money. So that's how a company like Wealthsimple, when you're thinking, well, they're not charging commissions on stuff. Well, they don't need to. They're making a ton of money just by this spread that they have. And then in addition to that, when you look at a share, when you look at the buy ask, there's a spread there too. And sometimes I haven't really looked a lot on Wealthsimple, but sometimes, you'll notice, like, for example, let's just say you had a share that, we'll just say it's $9.99. When you look at the buy ask, $9.99 and then $10. Okay. So in a case like that, that means that if you were to buy it, you're going to pay $10. If you were to sell it, you're going to get $9.99. So you might be thinking, whoa, well, what happens to that penny? Well, that penny is going to go, it's going to go to, the broker. In some cases, you may look at a share and you might see something like this. You might see $9.97, $10. So some brokers will create bigger spreads on the buy ask as well. And that's another way that they can make money. So they make a lot of money without there being commissions. And then when you take the big banks, they throw those commissions in there. They're making money from that as well. It all adds up. Oh boy. Let's see. TD does fractional. Yes. Let's see. In the order two screens on the second screen, if you do not change it to extended hours, then your trade will sit until regular. Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point, Paul. Let's see. I believe it's not available for ETFs. That is not true. That's not true. It is available for VFV. Now, some ETFs probably not available because when you're looking at it, it will be available for some of the more popular. So even stocks, if you have an obscure stock, unless they have extra, they're probably not going to have it initially. They add more as they pick up inventory, but new stocks, probably not. Some ETFs, unpopular ETFs, or just not high volume ETFs, probably not. But your big ETFs, things like VFV, yeah, you can get that fractionally. No problems, no ands, ifs, or buts about it. At least on Wealthsimple. Now, I don't know about TD's fractional, and I don't know about Questrade, but I do know that on Wealthsimple, you can get VFV. Nine, no, I haven't seen Nine in a while, but Nine was saying that they were able to get QQQC. Fractionally. All right. Paul says Questrade is fractional shares, but only regular hours in US stocks. All right. Let's see. Excuse my phone typing on the YouTube app. It seems you do not see everything as you type and miss your typos. Only shows 2 lines at a time. And that's where it's one of those things like, I am really good now of just figuring out what a typo should be so that I can read what people meant to say. 99% I get it right. Occasionally I do get it wrong. All right. QQCL was the one I was trying to transfer. Maybe that was the issue. Okay, maybe. Let's see. Looked up VFV being Canadian, no fractional on Questrade. I looked up T.to, no fractional on Questrade. Okay, interesting. And yeah, it does. I can guarantee, because I do have some fractional shares of VFV on Wealthsimple. So Wealthsimple, you can. So there we go. It's going to really depend on which broker. So Wealthsimple, I guess, a lot of the people who come into Wealthsimple are pretty new to investing, and those Those passive index funds like VFE, pretty popular. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The Nightbot is giving Paul a warning. He's not posting links, Nightbot. Chill. All right. Holy banana bread, says Larry. Larry is here. All right. Awesome. Paul says, damn Nightbot. Let's see. HIMS is USA, but no fractional. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what's going on about that. All right. Magti says, I tried Quest Trade about 2 months ago. It was difficult to find fractional shares. Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. Jim says the CIBC is whole shares. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. Like I said, I really like to see whole shares, but one of the things I do is in one of my accounts in it was actually Wealthsimple. I have one Wealthsimple account that I just anytime people, for example, use my referral code and I get that reward, I just normally will take that. I might buy a stock, and whatever's left over, I just throw it fractionally into VFE. That's how I know that VFE they do. All right. Rory says the .to sets the bot off. Yeah, it probably does. I'll look and see if I can stop that, because the reality is YouTube is going to probably censor you as well for that. If it looks like a link, YouTube will block it. So I'll look into the Nightbot, because I don't like the the Nightbot should just be telling you guys about how to get a Friday show. It shouldn't be telling you to stop posting stuff. All right. iBit USA has fractional shares. There we go. T.to. That works. 2 dots in a row works. Awesome. Yeah, I'm just taking a look here. I got the Nightbot open here. Chat moderation. Let's see. Excessive caps. Links. All right. I just disabled the links. So now chatbot should not give you a warning for that. Yeah, and there's no need for that to be on, because like I said, YouTube does its own thing. So if you try to post if you were to try to post even like a link to one of my videos, it probably won't get through. Well, it probably, I don't know. I mean, one of you guys would have to try it to find out, but I don't think it'll get through. And I don't know if it'll give me an option to approve it. Like it should. It should, you would think. I know on Twitch. So any of you who've ever been to Twitch, Twitch gives an option that if you want to give somebody the ability to share a link for like a window, like a 5-minute window, you can do that. And then that way they can share a link. That's kind of an interesting thing. I think with the YouTube backend, I think I might be able to turn stuff on for individual people where they can share links. And I probably should do that. I probably should do that for, those of you guys who are regulars. It's probably a lot of work too, but we'll see what we can do. Let's see, T.to, so I do not need to do T.to. Yeah, that works. Let's see, still considering National as a cash account to swing trade. It's good for that. It is definitely good for that. Other than one thing, if your balance in National Bank is under, I believe it's $20,000, they do charge you $100 a year. There's $100, but they waive it if your balance is over 20,000. They waive it, but here's the thing. I think they'll give you a warning on when that's happening, and it's based on a specific date. So quite literally, if you just move some money in for that date, then it passes. You can then pull the money out and just go back to your normal business. Investo Galaxy files S1 for a Solana SOL ETF. Oh, interesting. Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty good ones out there right now. And of course, as you guys may or may not know, a whole bunch of spot XRP ETFs dropped this month. So they'll be in that video coming out on Friday. Rory says, yeah, $100 main fee. Yeah, there we go. A good old fee. What can I say? Whew. Oh, it's really warm. coffee, iced coffee. I've got no option. Need to get that air conditioner taken care of sooner than later because this is just the beginning of the summer. It's just the beginning. So what can I say? All right, guys. So it doesn't look like we have a Friday show. Well, that's fine. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your weekend for sure. Oh, wait a minute. We got a Larry. We got a Larry comment here. We can't not not do a Larry comment. Let's see. Been listening a lot to Larry Fink videos. There's something to learn in them. One lesson. Passive and active don't mix. I wholeheartedly agree. They don't to be if you do it separate. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. Absolutely. And that it really boils down to this is the thing. I mean, I think like right now, money wise, the active accounts, ETFs, you're going to be able to make more money when it comes to, especially when it comes to income investing. So there's a lot more opportunity there. The active are designed for that investor who really wants to just set and forget it. You know, they're fine. And about mixing though, yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a couple. Like if you've got your core stocks and you've got a couple of passive ETFs in it, you're fine. You're fine. Paul says Bitcoin is at 107,910. Is that down a little bit? I thought it was at 108 earlier today. I could be wrong. I'll pull it up and take a look here. Yeah, 107. Oh no, it's up. It's still up 1.68. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was thinking at all. All right, guys. I think that's it for today. We'll be back here on Sunday. It'll be a fantastic show. I have a feeling there'll be lots of news for that. But all of those crypto ETF video, that's dropping Friday. If you're a channel member, you'll be able to watch that tomorrow for sure. All right. Until next time, guys, enjoy the rest of your day and, have a good one. Take care, everybody.